There we go.
What's up, buddy?
What's up? How are you?
Not bad, man. How was your week?
It was great. It was great. We added a lot of fun mods for the week in terms of Battlefront. Did a lot of fun events. But yeah, how about you?
Not too bad, man. I streamed every day this week. Got a lot of content done on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube took not really a break or anything, but I was just kind of, I had so many chronology series out. I kind of let it sit there. And then we're just waiting for this new Mandalorian content. Now we didn't get a filler episode this week, not at all. So,
How's your road to max in terms of your item?
So we decided to do this max. Well, I decided to do the max thing last week, and she was at 129, and now she's at 310, almost 310.
That's amazing.
Like 309. Yeah. So put in the work for her.
Yeah. No, definitely this week was not a filler. Personally, I would rank it as my favorite episode, I would say. First or second, absolutely. I was speechless the entire time.
Yeah, I did. The only problem I had with it was, of course, everybody's problem is that it was only 35 minutes long, and then you have the credits too. I mean, it was I watched it 4 times already just because it's so short. Like, you can knock it out in a half hour. So if you skip the intro, you skip the credits, you can knock it out in a half hour. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, compared to the first episode, which was almost double that, where it was 54 minutes. So
yeah, they spoiled us with episode 1 for sure.
And it seems like every single episode has gone less and less. Last episode was 41 minutes without the credits and everything. It was 37, which is kind of weird. I mean, not weird, but like, it was, in a way, it was a little disappointing because like in the first episode you and I talked about, we're like, oh, I hope the rest of the season just sticks to 50 minutes every episode.
Yeah, hour-long movies, really. But
yeah.
So he starts out, they're still in the Razor Crest and they're heading to Trask. He's got the passenger. So
comes in hot, little parallel to Revenge of the Sith. When the ship's coming down on Coruscant in the beginning, on fire. I know Obi-Wan says another happy landing. It was a little similar parallel to that of how it was coming down on them.
We're still flying half a ship. So.
And obviously he picks it back up, but they fall right into the water, which I don't know how they didn't drown or anything like that. But hey, they made it.
Yeah, I'm assuming, because it's a spaceship, it's water. It has to be watertight. So the cockpit, they just I guess they were just chilling in the cockpit, and I'm assuming comms still work. He's like, hey, can we get the crane over here? Because they had an accident or whatever.
Yeah.
The Mon Calamari that's sitting there with his hands on his hips, and he's like disappointed in him. The puppeteer for that was the female that plays Iden. She posted on Twitter, I didn't know that. She's the puppeteer for it, which I don't know how it works. I don't know how that. I was assuming they have an actor in it, and then they have someone using the control. I guess puppeteering in 2020s with a remote control instead of strings, and
Well, that's what they did with the child. But I don't know if you saw in the Rise of Skywalker. They saw in the behind the scenes. They had like the sand, and underneath they had people underneath, and they would bring it up, like lift it like up. And they would use controls underneath the ground. So it was like really interesting how they did it. And did the same thing with how when they fell into the quicksand, they were actually being pulled in like under it. So it was kind of like the same type of format, I believe. But I'll look into that. That's crazy.
She posted on her Twitter, and it's got her face and a name, and then it says puppeteer. And then she described it in a tweet what she did. Yeah, so the nostril area of that Mon Calamari that's like very disappointed. And he's like, I'll put gas in it if it can even hold gas or fuel. And he's like, whatever. But I like that whole segment.
And it was kind of funny because like he was like it's kind of reciprocated because like he was shaking his head at the beginning like this guy landing in like that, and at the end of the episode Mando's like Mon Calamari is like these people like
they're
so just they don't have like a good relationship clearly, unlike Mon Calamari and like Jedi, for example, which in the Clone Wars obviously they formed a whole kind of treaty type of thing, helping one another. So it's kind of interesting to see the different like races and species like communicate with one another. But what they come in, and we see Sasha Banks right from the start, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You see the frog lady hug the husband, which was really sweet. It was a really sweet touch. Frogman, which is a sweet and touching scene. I thought it was cute. And then not even like 2 seconds later, you see Sasha Banks like fade in and fade out, just like the trailer.
Yeah, it wasn't. They definitely is not the Jedi like we thought, because in the trailer it's like they put there's a Jedi sorcerer, and
Mhm.
then they made it seem like she was going to be a Jedi, and then she just disappears.
Yeah.
And I was expecting, because in the trailer, Din looks down at the child, and then the child looks up like, "Whoa, we just seen a Jedi." But they either cut that, or that's a completely different scene. But I remember it being
he looked down at the child when they were like, like, you'll eat soon, like, because he's looking at the fish eggs again, the frog eggs. So that was like kind of funny as well. And one thing I noticed is that, like, and we talked about this last time, I think about 90% of the trailer has already been shown within the first 3 episodes. 90% of it has already, like, we've seen now, like, you know, that little hangar I was talking about with the stormtroopers and stuff. We've seen that this episode. We saw, like, the Tusken Raiders, everything. So it's like we've already covered up the entire trailer. So, like, these next 4 episodes, I'm going to say, the only thing we're missing really that I can remember is when you see the scout troopers on their bikes, on their speeder bikes.
Yeah.
That's about it. Everything else is going to be left a surprise. And now we're finally getting a mention. Well, we'll talk about this later, obviously, but we finally got a mention of the Darksaber as well, which is something I've been looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, a bunch of live action words were used. So we'll get to that at the ending. So the frogman's just like over there, and I guess the Mandalorian just knows. I guess he can kind of already understand what he's trying to say, because he clearly knew that he was saying the local cantina, and then he heads over there. And then I thought that was a good, you know, you get to see the Quarren and Mon Cal. They still obviously don't really care for each other, but they're on the Trask, so we're not at Mon Cal like we thought it was going to be. I'm guessing Trask is just some backwater planet that suits their species, because she said that her eggs can hatch there. So I imagine any fish type Kit Fisto species will really enjoy this planet. That's what it kind of seemed like.
Yeah, it's just like a friendly planet to their species. That's basically how I could see it. Watery planet, oceanic. So yeah, and then after that they go right into the bar. Obviously, you see the funny little scene where the squid, the little octopus, goes on top of Baby Yoda's face, the child's face, tells him to stop playing with his food, and then that's when, like, things start to shift.
I love seeing how he uses the vibroblade, because normally, you know, the main character always has a lightsaber. He finally has like real tools that anybody can use. So he just pokes at the little alien face grabber with the vibroblade, and then the Baby Yoda's just like, you know, I really like the direction they're going with the child. Definitely, they put a lot more money into this this animatronic, and it's very good.
Well, they saw what the positive feedback it had. So, like, now they're taking it to the next level, and now they're, like, really, like, going in depth with this character more. Like, he's a kid, but, like, you're getting, like, literally funny scenes every single episode now. Like, every single episode we've gotten, like, a really funny sequence with him that's just, like, adds, like, a humor side to things, which is really important, because this is probably, for me, except for episode 8 of season 1, maybe episode 1 of season 2, I think this was the most action-packed sequence episode, at least one of them. It was short, but, like, it was up there for me. So, like I said, he, you know, obviously he says he's a Mandalorian, that he's, like, looking for others of his kind. He was told that he could find them here. And then the Quarren comes up to him as soon as the Mon Calamari leaves. The Quarren comes up to him and is like, "Hey, I could help you out, just a few hours out."
Yeah.
And of course, they get on the ship. The intense theme music plays. They get on the ship, and
I was wondering if the Mon Calamari was in on it, because he's like, "Yeah, I know a guy," and then he takes him over there. You think he's just an innocent dude just trying to? I mean,
the reason why I say he's not in on it is because literally Mando left the child back behind the bar the entire time that he was out with you know who. So so they could have easily have done something, because the Frog Lady and Frog Man isn't gonna, you know, they're just caretakers. They're not. They don't have a defense. So I think the Quarren waited for the Mon Calamari to leave, and then he came up to him. But regardless, I mean, that's a good point that you have, though. They got on the ship, tells the kid to come close so you can watch what they do. And then Mando even says, I don't know if you heard it. I watched it the third time I saw it. He was like, "Yeah, don't get too close." Like, you know.
Yeah, I was like, I get him eating the eggs. I really do. but don't let him eat the live baby.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's like little things like that, scene when he he just slaps the child right into the middle, and the monster just comes and grabs him. You know, it's like really interesting about that. Like parts like that make my heart drop, because my heart dropped in episode 7 or no, episode 8 when the Scout Trooper started punching Baby Yoda, the child. I mean, episodes 5/6 when they dropped him on the Razor Crest when they were entering the New Republic prison cell, you know, like those little things. It just makes my heart drop. So like that was like, for fans, that was like, what? And then Mando just jumps right into there, and they just tear him up.
We know there's a 99.9% chance that nothing will ever happen to the child, but
yeah,
they can take a risk. And when you put the whole child in the beast like that, I mean, every single episode the child's getting targeted.
Yeah.
Like every single one. There's at least one scene where he has to save the child's life.
And it's like,
I mean, I would say they're safe, but you know, there's gonna come a time where we get in these later episodes or later seasons where the child might not be safe, and maybe Din might not be so safe as well.
You know what's crazy about it is because like in episode 1, I mean, in season 1, you would see like everyone with these trackers going after them. Now they're just naturally after them. Like they just naturally have a bounty on their head. There's no trackers, anything, at least that we don't know of. So it's like
it's almost like they're on the HoloNet, like plastered everywhere.
Yeah,
because he makes that one comment. He's like, "You want me to go sublight? I can't. I have to go hyperspace everywhere I go because they're tracking me."
Well, they had the New Republic ships on him, so that could be something. So obviously, Mando goes in after him to save him, obviously, and then from there. It was just like, God, my heart dropped, dude. My heart dropped. Like I couldn't even like speak words, like because that was everything I ever dreamed of. And you know what the crazy part was that like I thought that she was gonna appear. I thought that Bo was gonna appear in the last episode when you saw those blaster fires shot at the spider.
Yeah,
I thought, oh my God. So when I saw her again, I was like, I freaked out.
Dude, it was a very grand entrance, and not only did you get to see her, but you get to see the Night Owls do work as well, which I thought.
We saw a male figure as well. I forgot his name. I don't know what they said his name was.
They already have. Oh, I was gonna write those down. They do have the character names already up for both those Night Owls.
Mm-hmm.
So they're established characters. They are new characters. They're not like any old Night Owls or any other old Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then they go from there. They save him, and then right away, I kind of like how they did it. They gave her like a sick approach because obviously, you know, Bo has a really like, you know, big role in the Clone Wars Rebels. So they didn't waste any time like showing her face or anything like that. That was sick, perfectly executed. Just took off her helmet right away, and he was already like, "What's going on?" So I think that the way they executed that was perfectly done.
She is so well done that she's everything you want Ahsoka to be. The voice, the character looked like they ripped it straight out of the cartoon and made it lifelike. The fact that she's already an action star playing an action, like as a voice actor, you know, it went perfect.
I know. That's what scares me. That's what scares me though, because it was so perfectly done. I don't know how, because I know they're not going to. I don't know if they're going to use Ashley Eckstein if they, you know, when they bring in Ahsoka. So I don't know how that's going to go necessarily. But the way they executed Bo at least was perfect. The way they executed Boba in the beginning was perfect. So whatever. After that, they take their separate ways. He's like he thinks they're not true Mandalorians, so he leaves. And then 5 minutes later, I already knew this was going to happen. As soon as he was pinched around by all the Quarren saying that, "Oh yeah, you killed my brother," I already knew. Like I said it right away. Like they're gonna come back right away, and then they're gonna be in an alliance together. They come flying in on their jetpacks and show no hesitation, just shoot them right in the face, each and every one of them, taking them all down. And then Bo says, "I killed your brother," which was
that was
insane.
Every single close up that she has in the entire episode is just is too good. When she says that, it zooms in, and then man, they nailed her character, and I hope that she gets at least 2 or 3 more episodes in. If not,
no, she will.
We've been preaching these spinoffs, man. A Night Owl spinoff would be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm down.
She's gonna come back, and the reason why I say that is because Dave Filoni even said it. There's gonna be tons of Darksaber action. If there's once like clearly, according to this, if there's one story that's going to align with the Darksaber action, it's going to be Bo and Moff Gideon. So now that they know, now we know that like those two are going to collide together. And now we asked it ourselves like last season, like at the end of last season, like how did he get the saber? Now we're getting a little bit closer to that, how he maybe got the saber. But we'll get into that, like obviously when that.
Well, she says when she takes off her helmet, and then so let's get that out of the way. Finally, we have an answer about why he keeps his helmet on. So she takes the helmet off. He gets up, already puts his hand on his hip, getting ready to draw his pistol. You know, why did you take your helmet off? You're not Mandalorians. And then she's like, whoa, buddy. I'm not just any Mandalorian. I am the Mandalorian. Says who she is. This armor's been in my family for 3 generations. Yeah. And then he kind of he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And it put him in its place real quick to know that he's not the Mandalorian that runs the boat that they're on. You know what I mean?
And this is the first episode where he wasn't the man. Like every single episode, I felt like he was the boss. He was a background character the entire episode. I feel like, until the end, obviously, when he has that one scene where he throws in the detonators and he saves the day. But like besides that, he was a background character the entire time.
Most of the scenes when I watched it, on the consecutive viewings, every time he's about to shoot, they're already getting their shots off, and then he kept. So if you watch it again. Every single firefight that they're in, he's like he'll shoot, and then everyone else is like done shooting. He's just always like, man, and he puts it down. He's like, I'm slower than than these other Mandalorians.
Well, they've been doing this before the Clone Wars. They've been doing this forever.
He's a bounty hunter. These are legit soldiers, which is completely different. Yeah. So then she reveals the helmet issue that Din has, which is everybody's number one complaint about this show. Is why doesn't he take his helmet off? Well, she says, well, you're a child of the Watch, a zealot group faction that opposes us. But see, Pre-Vizsla took his helmet off, so I'm assuming it's the foundlings that they gave this rule to for the Watch. Yeah, because the Death Watch took their helmets off all the time. They did. So there's still like it's not answered completely, but it's at least half answered. So. I'm just assuming that any new foundlings that came in, it's kind of like your rite of passage. You just don't take your helmet off.
I don't know. That's something to look into and something that we'll have to pay attention to over the next few episodes because they're going to explain in depth more about how he came about, how Mando, what kind of like, because you saw in like the previous like in the previous season, the armor of the Mandalorians who rescued him were all blue. So that, putting 2 and 2 together, that is the Watch. Now it's just a matter of fact of like what the rules were or any of that. I'm sure we'll find more of that.
Yeah. I was seeing, so you wanted to talk about the,
I did. Yeah. I'm actually pulling that up right now.
So you're pulling that up. I was seeing, some people are thinking now that he is learning more about the Mandalorian culture, he could start to resent the armor, because right now the armor is kind of like his Mandalore. Any information that he needs, he seeks out the armor. Yeah, and she's telling him all this stuff. So, well, would the armor be a direct descendant from the Death Watch? So now you kind of have even more people pulling on him, like, "Hey, we want you as a Night Owl," and then the armor's like, "Hey, we want you on the Death Watch," and then maybe it's not Bo that unites the clans. It's Din.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have it pulled up right here. Yeah, okay. That should work. Okay, let me switch that over. Okay, yeah. So in this scene right here.
Are you ready for me to add it?
Yeah. Okay, so in this scene right here, you do see them like going back and forth. But one thing that I thought that was really, really interesting was when I can skip a little bit, like right here. Okay, yeah. When she rescues him, right? When Bo-Katan like kind of looks up, looks over at him, holds her hand out, right? That is exactly how they were. Exactly how it was with the previous season when the Death Watch found Din Djarin and they held his hand up. It's exactly the same. So I thought that was really interesting. Okay, I don't know what happened here, but yeah, it's exactly the same how she held her hand out. So I thought that was really cool. Let me go back just a little. I can just frame it real quick.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
She
when
holds her hand out, and it's like identical, which I thought was really. I just thought it was really. It's just like a little like side thing.
it's a powerful scene, man.
Yeah.
Because now he's getting, he's gonna remember those scenes, especially like when he looks back on it. So he sees the Mandalorian that saved him in the Clone Wars, and now he has another one saving his. She goes on to save the child. At least the other Night Owl does. So I mean, those two scenes now are super important to him.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, I don't know, like in the beginning, it seemed like they were rivals, but in the same way, like she was leaning her hand out, like, I'm one of you. Like, it's okay. Like, you're safe with me. And we don't really experience that right in the beginning, but we experience it later in the end of the episode when they really combine together and they're like, yeah, you know what? Like, we might have different beliefs in our Mandalorian beliefs, but like, we're the same. We're the same. We're like, mine might be a creed. Yours might be something else, but we're both Mandos. We're both in this together. We're both family. So I thought that was really interesting. How their relationship developed over the episode. And then so after that, obviously, she rescues them again, as I mentioned, and they go right into the cantina, into the bar, into the inn.
And then that little conversation they're having is he's just, all he cares about is the Jedi. So he's just harping on it. He's like, hey, can you help me find the Jedi? And so she, once again, the common theme in these shows is didn't want something, somebody else has it, and they're not going to give it for free. So her trade-off is you help me take out one of these Imperial remnant cruisers to get some goods. And of course, what else? Did anything else happen in that scene?
Not necessarily. They were just scouting outside, waiting for the ship. It said the ship was going to ascend. It's like, hey, when the ship ascends, we're all going on our jetpacks. We all head over there. We'll take them all down, a 4-man crew. So
and that's when Sasha Banks gets her biggest line. Because I was like, man, are they going to talk really? I was hoping she just wouldn't be a background character. And then she says, we've been hitting them hard for weeks. They're not going to just let us. We have to take it by surprise, basically. For a good side character, I mean, they gave a lot of screen time for the action, which she's an action star, and I'm assuming the male character is an action star as well. So, I mean, they got paid what they obviously were going to do on screen. Yeah, just wish a little bit more dialogue between them.
I think everyone was under Bo's lead, though. This was Bo's show. This was Bo's episode, and it's not even a question. And when Ahsoka appears, it's going to be Ahsoka's episode as well. Even Mando, the name of the show, The Mandalorian, was a side character to this. Now, I did mention this like around our first episode here. I did mention that was a fear of mine because I want them to be his show. So I think that's maybe why they stressed his character development in the first 2 episodes so much, as we talked about. Because you even said it after episode 1, like, oh, this is Mando's show. Like this is his show. He's running it. And then like now it was like, no, it's not. Like you're under Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan was leading the charge the entire time. She was on the front frame when they were charging in. He was just in the background the entire time. So we're seeing a little bit of difference. We see a little bit of different things, different roles from him, because he was leading Cobb Vanth in the first episode, and he wasn't this time around. So
he was definitely the 4th man of the group, the oddball out. They all had their tactics and ways. So they used their jetpacks because they had to, I guess, to get out of the harbor, you have to flow at low level. So before they get out of the harbor, they're going to attack it. They did just that. But one of the stormtroopers gets lucky enough to hit comms, says that they're being attacked by pirates. So then, of course, I love how they bring back the hydro spanner. They put it in there, and he's doing it manually, something like what R2-D2 would do. And then they unlock the door. And then you get, to me, the best scene of the show is when Bo just pulls out her vibroblade on the wrist, kind of looks at the camera like, I'm about to do this, goes in there and gets the triple kill on those stormtroopers.
Yeah. It's really funny. I didn't know if you knew this. And I didn't even know this. I'm so happy I didn't. But Katie Sackhoff, the actress of Bo-Katan, actually posted on Twitter either like in the morning of or the night before. She's like, can it be Friday already? No. So it was like, she like hinted at it, and a lot of Twitter blew up. I was not active on Twitter that day, thank God, because if I did, I would have been spoiled. So that was really cool. So she kind of hinted at it as well. And then, so that was really cool, of course, to see her. And she's the voice actress of Bo-Katan as well. So, I mean, putting those two together, I mean, that's perfection.
Which is what I was hinting at the beginning with Ahsoka, you're taking probably the biggest character besides like Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker, and you're putting her in live action. You have to do it right. And everybody, like, if you close your eyes and you just imagine her voice, it's Ashley Eckstein every time. So
I know, I'm scared. I'm so scared.
It's gonna be tough, man. And maybe they brought her voice, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert at those things. I don't know how hard it is to get her voice to match up with Rosario's, facial movements. I don't know if they could do that or what. I mean, I haven't seen it done.
I mean, they did it with Sam Witwer and Ray Park for Darth Maul. Now, the only issue, the difference between the two is that Sam Witwer and Darth Maul was for one short scene.
Mm-hmm.
If Ahsoka is in live action, she won't only appear for just one episode. Like, I really have a firm belief that she would appear for her own separate series. So it's not, I don't know how realistic it would be for them to do this voice for over the course of an entire series. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that would be a little off. So I would understand if they only use Rosario's voice, because it's just like they did with Anakin, Matt Lanter, and Hayden Christensen, completely different voices until season 7 when they mixed the voices. But I mean, besides that, like, it's its own character. So I personally don't see anyone else as Ahsoka besides Ashley Eckstein. So
same here, man. But maybe, I mean, if they do, if she looks real and looks awesome, then maybe your brain will just start clicking real quick. Like, that's Ahsoka, boom. And you should adapt. Just like how you were saying, Anakin and Matt Lanter or Hayden Christensen, two different people, two different voices. So
it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. And all we could do is just wait. I mean, I'm going to say this. Well, we'll get into, obviously, talking about more of Ahsoka in a minute. But we'll just go continue with the episode. So they go approach the ship, wait for the ship. They come in hot. They already started calling them pirates and stuff like that, which obviously they were completely wrong. They came in, knocked out all the stormtroopers, which, by the way, which is another thing that we talked about. The stormtroopers' armor was absolutely looking shiny. They look brand new. In relation to season 1, episode 1 through 3, when it was all beat down and dusty. So this is Moff Gideon's. You can already tell this is Moff Gideon's division. You can tell, like, because he kept his troopers clean. He kept his troopers in order. You can already tell. And you start seeing some officers as well in the front deck as well of the ship, which was really interesting as well to see. And you even get some development with them. They go on the comms. They're like, oh, who's there? Whatever. It's like, oh, just pirates, sir. He's like, oh, is it the same ones as always? And they're like, yeah. Oh, they're Mandalorian, and they cut out, and they just go wiping out everybody. They're wiping out one by one, just the 4 of them. Which, by the way, for me, which was sick. And then that one little scene when, like, Bo uses her her blade, her vibro blade, and then just looks like straight at the frame like that. Like, God, that's gonna be used everywhere. I know it for a fact.
Yeah, that one scene is the best scene of the show to me, and then. I thought of course they got to get the comedic relief in there, and I thought it was very well done when they locked him in the hangar control room.
They just all flew out. Yeah,
he's like, yeah, we locked him in the hangar control room, and he's like, we got him, and then he's like, the hangar control room, and then boof.
And it was funny because it was like the comedy that the ongoing joke has always been like stormtroopers are a little slow up here, and then they were like, the officer was like, lock the doors immediately. Lock the doors. And then the stormtrooper was like, what doors? It's like the doors, or like something along those lines. Like he kept having to stress to lock the doors, and he wouldn't do it. So it was like funny to also see like the little, like you said, the comedy side of things, making fun of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, that part was really well done. And then they get out these new weapons. I mean, those weren't E11s or anything. I'm not really sure what those were, but you get those in the hands of the Mandalorians. At least I
have to go back and look.
Yeah. I mean, I've never. If they're out there, it might be like a heavy class that I'm not used to, but those weapons were legit. And you put those in the hands of skilled Mandalorians. I mean, they're definitely losing a good shipment there. So the Empire, at least Moff Gideon's definitely. I mean, he was willing to lose the ship, but that he's taking a hit on that for sure.
Well, Moff Gideon isn't taking a life for anybody, but he'll make the rest of the Empire do so, which is really interesting to see because they're so low in numbers. The Empire isn't a thing anymore. So you would at least assume that they would like not conserve what they have, but like the fact that he's like saying like for the Empire, take the ship down, which was like that was crazy to me.
It was a complete Hell Hydra move.
They knew they were beat though. They knew they were beat. And if they were going to go down, so I hate to say it, but it is a little parallel to, season 7 when the ship was going down. I felt that right away. When the clones were ready to take the ship down, it was a similar way. They were going to take the ship down and bring the ones on with them, which was Ahsoka, which was the Jedi they were trying to kill with them.
Yeah.
To take her down. Similar to this, the Empire was going to take down these Mandos down.
Yeah. Except you had a Jedi that didn't want to kill them, but this time you had the Mandalorian that they just didn't care. So they get in that hallway now.
Yeah.
The ship's going down and they're in that hallway. And this time they have heavy repeaters, and they're just mowing. They're not even really aiming. They're just trying to make sure that the Mandalorians don't get down the hallway.
Yeah.
And then Din comes up with his master plan of just being a brute force with his Beskar armor. Lights his detonators, goes down the hallway, takes a lot of shots, man. More shots than I think a normal person should be able to take. Because he has weak spots in that armor. But again, he's our hero, and he saves the day.
Yeah.
And
which I'm glad. Because he obviously has his shine, and episode 1 he saved the day. Episode 2 he kind of got carried just a little bit. But now he saves the day again, which is,
because she was saying 10,000 meters, 9,000 meters, 8,000. If he doesn't decide to do that, we're planning a what if scenario, but they don't survive that. So then we lose. If Din doesn't use his armor and his skills there, we lose Bo-Katan and the Night Owls there. So, but
that would have been a crazy way to go out too.
Yeah. So,
considering what a role she has. So thank God. But yeah. And Bo puts a vibroblade right to his face, to the last of the remaining officer's face, and says, "Where's the Darksaber?" And then he says, "If it's not here, then it's already answered your question. Like, you've already answered your own question. Like, where is it?" And she was going to let him live, but of course, he had that right inside of him. Moff Gideon was going to let him live.
So it makes it seem to me that she knows exactly who Moff Gideon is. There's no question about like who could possibly have it. So they fought before, and it's looking like, unless there was an outside interference, it's looking like Moff Gideon's already beat her once in a duel, or something.
I don't think a duel necessarily, because the reason why is because you saw in season 5, I believe it was, when Maul took the saber, right? The only way you can take that saber is if you, defeat him in a duel. Well, I mean, Maul slaughtered Vizsla, killed him. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know necessarily if the other person has to kill them or not.
Right. Well, the way Sabine did it, remember, Sabine was going to let Gar Saxon live, but then so she turns her back to him. And then he was like, "You know what? I'm just going to shoot you in the back." And then I forget which Mandalorian took him out.
I thought it was
Sabine was going to let Gar live. So Sabine is trying to get this new way of Mandalorians. So well, obviously Moff Gideon's evil either way.
Could be.
I would imagine. You know what? I imagine there was some interference. It's not going to be a fair fight, and Imperial was never going to take a fair route to get.
So I'm saying, I think that with a little, like, I don't know, but like, I feel like they were both limited on forces, but like, it would have been interesting to see. I think probably like whatever remaining of the Empire just like closed in and attacked them. I'm sure we're gonna get a like a little bit of like a backstory. How similar how we got to Cobb Vanth in episode 1 of how he got the armor. I feel like we're gonna get a little bit of like a vision of like the backstory of it and see something along those lines. But I don't see, the thing is, I don't even know what Moff Gideon would have fought her with,
Right.
The only other possibility is I could think is a saber, but like that would actually keep up, because someone like Bo, who is a true Mandalorian, who's probably has had this Darksaber for years now, is probably so like well trained with it that she's not going to just lose it to anyone, and especially with like the Mando force that they had. You saw that at the end of Rebels, so I don't know. It's so like, it could go both ways.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, there are certain vibroblades that can deflect lightsaber, but you know, kind of like I don't know if Beskar can. I would assume Beskar can take a lightsaber hit, because I think they're taking the route that Beskar is, the old Mandalorian armor from the Mandalorian Wars, which is the Neo Crusader armor, which can take lightsaber strikes. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if he would need a lightsaber, but like you said, I mean, he doesn't even really seem like he's a fighter. He kind of seems like a director, Krennic type guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm just a leader. I'm not. Once it comes time to fight, I'm gonna take cheap shots with my pistol and try to shoot you in the back.
Well, we see him take a huge hit on Mando in Episode 8 when obviously all the Death Troopers and everyone came together.
Yeah.
So a little bit of fighting, but in terms of like an actual saber, like the dark saber, I don't know. He just seems like more of like a commander type. You're right.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that. I feel like there was some other factor in this, and we're gonna get a story on it.
Because remember we were talking about it too.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to these last episodes, you always need a climax versus a hero versus villain.
Yeah.
Moff Gideon is our villain right now, but let's pit him against. Well, we don't know how skilled he is. We just don't. But
and you don't know what reinforcements he has either.
Right. In my mind, though, he loses every fight right now. Bo should beat him. Din should beat him. Ahsoka should beat him. So I'm like, who's gonna be this villain that really gives us this action scene?
There's someone else.
Maybe there is somebody out there. And then it is looking too like all roads lead to the Darksaber. So there's got to be another. If they defeat Moff Gideon this season, they have to set up the next season. So maybe at the end, the person pulling the strings for Moff Gideon will appear, and who knows who that could be. I know people don't like to hear these things, but Disney's not going anywhere, and they're going to try to tie this into everything they can. So maybe we get a Snoke or some early night of person.
That could be. He could be. This Snoke could tie into this. That would be insane.
And as much as people hate Snoke, I mean, he was pretty strong from what we can tell. I mean, he lifted Rey up pretty easily, destroyed Ben whenever he wanted to. So maybe our beloved Ahsoka goes toe-to-toe with a Snoke character.
It's interesting, and a lot of people say this as a rumor, that one of the reasons why the Empire's after the child is because he's a force wielder and his midichlorians could be used to power up Palpatine. Mm-hmm. A lot of people speculate that. So this could be something where the Empire, the remains of the Empire, is obviously in the formation of the First Order.
Yeah,
because they're gonna. It makes too much sense. The fact that it's right before Force Awakens that they're gonna tie it into it. I've said this since the start. They're going to tie it into it. Maybe not this season, but definitely seasons 3, 4, or 5. Yeah, so
it's going to be their way of trying to save the sequels too, because the more you can tie it in and make the story more, because now they'll be like, well, the sequels includes the Mandalorian now. Yeah. So then people are going to be like, wow, it actually isn't that bad because we have all this and the entirety, because no one appreciated the prequel trilogy until after the Clone Wars came out. And then you started seeing, okay, now we know how Anakin got his scar. Now we know why they're so beat up and war-torn in Episode 3. Well, they've been fighting this Clone Wars for 2 years, and it's battle after battle. So that's a good way to tie it into, I think.
And then the moment came where I still can't sleep at night. I've been going to sleep every single night just thinking about it, and I probably won't be until next episode. The name comes.
Yeah, they do a name drop.
City of what was it? I know it's the forest planet of Corvus.
The city of Cordan, something like that on Corvus. Yeah. You put it on your Twitch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Calodan. Yeah, it's
the city of Calodan. On the planet of Corvus.
The forest planet of Corvus. You will find Ahsoka Tano. And I screenshotted that. It'll be like my number one picture of my camera roll for the next months to come.
Did you when you were watching it, do you have subtitles on or do you just watch it?
So I watched it the first time as a watch party, and we did have subtitles, and then I kept the subtitles on.
So is the spelling you got the spelling on your for the cities correct? How is the spelling for the planet? Is it Corvis?
US, I think.
US, okay. Yeah. Because I've been seeing this everywhere, and I'm not calling them wrong because nobody knows. I looked for that planet. I went straight to Wikipedia. I went to everything I could and looked for the C's and the K's because I didn't know if it was a C or a K, and I don't see this planet anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there's multiple YouTube channels that are saying it's Corvus Minor, which is a star system, has like 7 planets in it or something like that. And I'm like, there's no. So I kept replaying it, and she keeps saying Corvus, or something like that, where there's another letter in there, and then people are like dropping a letter and calling it Corvus Minor, and I'm like, I just don't think that's right. I think it's a new planet that we've never even heard of.
Could be. It's not the first time. This isn't the first time where the people on Disney messed up with the subtitles. In The Rise of Skywalker, when they had Ahsoka's voice, they put female lady voice number 3. You know what I mean? Like when they had Anakin and Mace's names like right before it. So it's not the first time they've messed up with the subtitles. Maybe they did it on purpose. We have no idea because they know there's nerds like us out there who's going to look up everything and drop everything in. So
I mean, I'm telling you, it wasn't even 5 minutes after the episode was over. I was Googling the exact line. I was like, the planet, blah, 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 in the city. And there was like nothing. I was like, I looked at Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And I came home, looked through the back of my Ralph McQuarrie books. I did everything, man. I could not find it anywhere. So
I know. So like oh God, see, and this is what we got to be careful with as fans because like, it's tough because you don't want to like have so much assumptions. Okay, well, I'm gonna come up with an assumption. Speaking of which, as a matter of fact, I don't think we're gonna see Ahsoka next episode. We're not gonna see her next episode because if we would have like. Yeah, they kept us on our toes. I knew they weren't going to show her at the end of last episode. I was really hoping they would, but there's no way we're going to see her next episode. But that beaten ship, how it's already like half fallen apart, there's no way that's going to make it all the way out there.
He's not making it even a system over. I would assume the next episode or 2, he's got to repair the Razor Crest. He's got to meet up with Cara Dune, and
I think that's when they came into place. Or someone also mentioned this within our community. They mentioned that he might head back to Tatooine, and that's when he would encounter Boba. Now it would be really interesting to see that. I don't know why he would come back to Tatooine. Maybe it's on the way. I don't know. Like, I would have to look at like the Outer Rim like territories within that and like see where they are. Some of these planets weren't mentioned before.
The mechanic is there. I mean, she's there, but she doesn't have the tools. She can only repair things. She can't fix it. That makes sense. Like that ship is beyond repairable now. He needs new parts that Tatooine's not going to have. He's got to take it to some Coruscant or Kuwait planet where they actually have new parts to put on it because that thing is literally hollow on the inside.
Yeah. It's funny because like these next 4 episodes, we don't know anything. Every single thing that we saw in the trailer has been shown already, except for the one little scene with the scout troopers on their bikes, on the speeder bikes. Everything else has been shown. Every single part of the trailer has been shown. I can't think of anything else. I'll break it down again tonight, but they did that on purpose. Now we're going to have 4 episodes where we know absolutely nothing, except for the fact that we're going to see Ahsoka. And I don't think she'll appear till episode.
Well, this is only 3. I would imagine 6 if we're lucky. And then if we're even more lucky, we get her for 6, 7, and 8 instead of just 1 episode.
With someone as big as Ahsoka, with how big that character is and how much it means to so many people, including myself, it's not going to be some easy route. They're going to hype it up. They're going to keep you waiting. They're going to keep you on your toes for weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't even know. I've tried to like process in my head how they bring her in. So like say we're 100% getting her this episode. Like, does he walk in the room and she's there? Does he need saving and she opens the doors like how she does it in Rebels and she's just there and she brings out her dual, she does that with her lightsabers. So I'm trying to think like, man, how do you bring this?
How I see it. This is how I see. This is my envisionment of how things are going to go. I say that they're going to head back towards, they're heading out. Something's going to happen with the ship. They're going to come across Bo-Katan again. They're like, hey, look, like something's going to happen along the lines where like, hey, we need this saber. I don't know. They're going to get Cara Dune and Grief Karga on a heist. They're going to work with Bo-Katan and the Night Owls once again. they're going to do something huge. And at the end, when they achieve their goal, when they defeat Moff Gideon or something along that, at the very, very end, I think that's when they're going to finally go have that ship repaired, have everything good to go. And you're going the series might end with literally Ahsoka just turning her face and then just interacting for the first time. That's how the series ended. Because think about how the series ended in season 1. It was ended with the Darksaber. People couldn't sleep for a year thinking about that.
If they end the show with just as much screen time as the Darksaber got is how much we get of Ahsoka. I can't wait a year, man. I'm going to be very
maybe that's why they didn't use Ashley Eckstein, because it was just for one little split scene without her voice. You don't know. This is what I'm saying. I really think about that, because that would lead into so much hype for a spinoff. Now, fans would be livid. Fans would be absolutely livid. I won't lie. But I feel like it would make sense, though, that you would see her at the very end after everything has been accomplished, because there's still so much going on. They need the saber. He needs to find Ahsoka. Somehow Grief Karga and Cara Dune are going to come into place about this. What about Boba? There's 4 different things, so many different things going on at once. And all this guy wants to do is just deliver the baby to the child so he can get rid of him.
He's like, man, I just need to get this mission done now. I'm like,
exactly.
It's always like, like Jyn Erso. She just wants to be at peace, and now everyone's trying to drag her in this war, and she's like, gosh, I don't want to do it. And in the end, she's there, and she's like, okay, I got to get this done. And that's the path that Din's taking now. All he wants to do is hunt bounties, and the poor guy can't hunt bounties. So
yeah. So there's just so much up in the air, and I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting approach that they take for these next 5 episodes that we don't know anything about. The length of them, it's just so much in the air. You really don't know anything. But one thing I'm certain of, at least for myself, is we're not going to see Ahsoka next episode. We're not going to see her next episode.
Yeah, I just don't think
it's going to be delayed. It's not going to be that easy. Somehow Bo-Katan was that easy, not Ahsoka.
Yeah, and if they did, they were just as surprised as everybody else, and we're going to have a good next episode. So,
yeah.
But man, they can. I'm so. I'm like you, man. I can't even really process when they name drop her live action. Now it's like, is this real? And then when you hear it, okay, this is real, and now we're gonna get to experience it very soon.
But
intense, man.
But think about all the other names that were dropped in. Rex was dropped in. Sabine was dropped in. Ezra was dropped in. I forgot his name, but the actor, I think his name was Raul something. The actor that was supposed to play as Ezra teased a small picture of him wearing a Lucasfilm T-shirt with a screen in the background showing Ezra. There was so much speculation within that. So
that's what I was gonna tell you about. Like I know they name dropped Ahsoka, but Din could very well show up to like a Jedi Council chamber, and you have Ezra on her right. Sabine on her left. I mean, you could have Cal Kestis sitting in there. Could you imagine if they brought all those characters in? And Cal
they're not going to bring Cal Kestis. They're not going to bring Cal Kestis.
He's just in there chilling.
I know.
Man, I don't know, dude.
With BD1? No, stop.
Dude, they could have a whole whatever, like what I talked about in episode 1. Man, they could. Ahsoka's not a Jedi. She's not a Sith. I truly believe that when Luke said that he's the last of the Jedi, he meant it, because he would know if there's a Baby Yoda, he would know if there's something else. So I think Ahsoka has created a new Force order with a new name, whatever it is, let's just call it a Grey Jedi just to put a placeholder name. So she created the Grey Jedi Order, and she's convinced these other ones, and the only other known Force users right now are Cal Kestis, Sabine's not Force user, but she has enough there, and then Baby Yoda comes in, the child. I mean, that's your spin-off right there, man.
Zeb.
Yeah, just sign me over on Disney, and I'll write this whole next series for Ahsoka.
Absolutely, God, that would be insane. And I feel like whatever we're gonna see, like at the end of this episode, it's gonna branch off into so much extra live series spinoffs. I think there's gonna be a Boba. There might be a Boba. I'm not sure about that. I know there's gonna be an Ahsoka one. Supposedly there's a Darth Maul one. It's gonna branch off into so much this season. Based off the 3 episodes that we got already, fans would already jump on a Cobb Vanth type of spinoff or another Night Owls type of death, spin-off. People would jump on that, and that's just only 3 episodes worth of content. So I think it's only up from here in terms of that.
Man, they have so much now. It's like we went from having no content to all the content in the world that we can ever dream of.
This is peak Star Wars right now.
And the better thing too is, man, they don't even have to stop at shows. Like they can give any one of these characters a solo movie, and we would be happy. And we're going to go to theater and we're going to eat it up. I mean, we're at the hands of Dave Filoni and John right now, and it's going to be amazing, man. I'm very excited for what we have in store for Star Wars fans, for content creation, and just mainly just being a fan of these things, man. Because whenever it was last week, you were streaming, and then you said at the end of your stream, like, "Oh man, tomorrow's Thursday. Like Mandalorian comes out tomorrow," and I was like, "Tomorrow." And then I just got excited, and I was in so much better mood for the rest of the day, going into work that night. And then I was like, it's 2:00, and then we got the episode we got. So
it's like, I don't know, like I feel like like I said, like the era that ever since 2015, I feel like the Star Wars content that we've gotten has just been so great. And I feel like specifically this year, you think about it, you got Jedi this past year. You got a Jedi Fallen Order game. In terms of the gaming side of things, Battlefront 2 was still really going very strong. Still is. You have, G.S. Louise. You had season 7 of Siege of Mandalore, which was absolutely stunning. You had your last Skywalker saga film. Now entering from 2023 to 2026, we're gonna get 3 films, 2 spinoffs. Taika Waititi. The director we spoke about, he's already going to work on one. It was already announced he's going to direct one of those spin-off films. So within those 2 spin-off films, there's so much room for, we already got a Solo spin-off, we got a Rogue One. These spin-offs could easily branch off from this season of The Mandalorian, and we're here for it. And Clone Wars, specifically the era of the Clone Wars, is really thriving, I think, a lot. Even Jedi Fallen Order, which was like kind of a mix it was right after Revenge of the Sith. You did get your Empire, but you still got all those flashbacks with the clones during Order 66.
The Bad Batch too. I keep forgetting.
You're gonna get the Bad Batch series in in 3 months. You're gonna get this Bad Batch series with the same animation that they use for Clone Wars. So it's gonna be like we're in peak Star Wars. We're in peak Star Wars right now, and it's only gonna be up from here. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Especially the end game, man, because when they play these storylines in the middle of the entire storyline, then you have to start wondering how everything's going to fit into the puzzle. Because we get to, right now the end of the puzzle is Rise of Skywalker. So how does all these fit in? And I'm very interested to see that, man, because the potential's there.
Yeah.
Really. Especially and it all comes back to just Ahsoka, man. What is Ahsoka's end game? Does she exist in Rise of Skywalker? Does she not? And then, because we all look at her as like almost as an unkillable character.
She's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and she's very like the only one that really, well, not even Luke. I mean, they took Luke out. So it's
Anakin.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's like our last hope.
Anybody. Yeah, so
like two characters for us that like might be unkillable is Ahsoka and the child, and we're gonna get both of those in the same season. So that's like absolutely crazy to even think about. And I forgot whether it was J.J. Abrams or Dave Filoni. One of them mentioned as the release of Rise of Skywalker, all the speculation with Ahsoka's voice being included at the end. And one of them, I forgot who it was, one of them said, like, oh, yeah, just because her voice was included doesn't mean she's gone. Dave Filoni always wears a shirt that says Ahsoka lives with an exclamation mark, So yeah. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
When you think about your heroes, whoever they may be, Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker, you can never picture their ending. So that's why all the fans were mad when Luke took his end. Everybody wanted it to be a little different or a lot different, depending on the fan. But
a Leia too.
It's because growing up that was their hero. And yours is Anakin, and so Anakin goes down this long, dark and hard path that you had to accept. You can't just you have to accept it. So Ahsoka, it's like when you're trying to picture, all these new, because a lot of Ahsoka's fans are females, younger female demographics. So when you're looking at that, they are eventually going to have to accept the fate of Ahsoka, no matter what it is. So it's going to be tough. Because it is the hero's journey, it's the hero's path, but every hero's journey comes to an end, and eventually they're going to have to show us what her end is. You can't just keep going and going and going and never give her an end. She's got to have one. And that ends in death somehow. I don't know how you do it.
I just don't know. I don't know. Okay, that is something good to take into consideration. But at least that we know in the back of our heads that this won't take place during Mando.
It won't. Yeah, she's not gonna go down in Mandalorian.
Yeah, but like I said, I think this season will branch off into a lot of future projects. So it's a matter of fact of what projects we're going to see. I think an Ahsoka spinoff, like I said, a Boba spinoff, possibly a Cobb Vanth, something about him. Possibly a separate whole film instead of a series. So, and one thing that's really cool, really cool, and I forgot who I was speaking with this. It was a family member the other day when I was rewatching episode 3, and what really got to me was that you look at all these different planets that they're visiting each and every episode. You got Tatooine in the first one, you got the icy planet in the second one, and you're getting a oceanic planet this one episode, right? You don't get this over the course of a film. You're getting almost close to 8 hours worth of content. You're getting more attached to these characters than you would in a character in a film. So we're already attached. I don't want to throw names out, but we're already attached to Mando more than some characters from the sequels.
Definitely.
We've already gotten more content. I know you were going to say that. We already got more content from Mando than we did for 3 sequel films. We have a full season and a half already out. So it's
once you're just 3 episodes in, and you already have more content than the movie. So it's you can explore Din on a whole nother level. With Rey or Ben or Finn, you get to see, not only is it a movie, but they only get 20-25 minutes a piece, even though it doesn't seem like that because it's a movie and they just get separate scenes. But Din, you're literally getting 25 to 30 minutes every Friday.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part about things, and this is why, and this goes back to what you were saying about how attached fans are to Ahsoka. Ahsoka has had content. She was, if not the main character, she was definitely one of the top 3 main characters. I would say probably Anakin, her, and Rex, and Obi-Wan. Those are the main characters of the Clone Wars series. I would put her at first just because of how it ends up, it being revolved around Rex and Ahsoka. But over the course of the entire Clone Wars, you have 7 seasons worth of content, over 20 episodes a season, some with 12. Then you have Rebels. She's back in Rebels. You grow attached to this character because of so much content you're getting from her. Even Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan made tons of appearances. Had her own arcs as well. So,
there's a lot to Bo. I was doing a bunch of research on her, and he goes back far, man, far. There's stuff that it was when Ahsoka. She meets Ahsoka for the first time when she's a really, in her younger stages. I think it's season 2 or 3.
Yeah. So. And then obviously when they come across each other, when Bo and Ahsoka come across each other, their first encounter with each other they were enemies. Yeah.
They fought on that speeder.
Yeah. And then Bo really started to become good come towards season 5 when Maul ruled. So
the shadow.
That's character development, and now we're getting all these characters that we're so attached to, all in one series, all in one, mixed with our attachment already from Mando and the child, and it's just perfection.
So I wonder if Bo knows that ship never made it past, or made it back to Coruscant with Maul. So she knows Maul is escaped or something, maybe they could tie in Solo now, the Crimson Dawn. Bo, I would assume Bo knows about the Crimson Dawn. You know what I mean?
Because Bo and Ahsoka don't have any interaction in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. Right? It's only Sabine. It's only Sabine and Bo. I don't even think does Rex come across.
Yeah, I don't even. Man, the timeline for Rebels is all.
It's all like
I don't even know when. Spoiler alert! I don't even know when Kanan is around and not around. I don't think he's in the Mandalorian arc at the very end. I think he's gone at that point.
No, he is. Yeah, because remember, Rebels takes 5 years. It takes place 5 years before A New Hope.
Yeah,
it takes 5. And this takes. And Mando obviously takes up 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So Kanan is long gone. Now it's just a matter of fact of like now that you're saying, does Bo know what went down? Does Bo know what? I mean, she clearly she clearly knows where Ahsoka is. So they had some sort of interaction. They had They had to have some sort of interaction, Bo and Ahsoka, after Rebels. So what my assumption is, Sabine and Ahsoka together somehow came across with Bo-Katan. They all had some sort of interaction because there's no way Bo just pulls it out of nowhere like, oh yeah, Ahsoka's on Corvus. They had to have some sort of interaction. And we saw the last little frame of Rebels was Ahsoka and Sabine going on this journey together to find Ezra. Maybe Bo assisted in that journey. Maybe things went wrong. Maybe things went right. Maybe they did find Ezra, and then they went their separate paths. Bo is doing her own thing now, trying to get the Darksaber back. No one knows what happened. No one knows anything.
And there's also Thrawn in there too. I just looked it up.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even.
Kenobi killed Maul. Kenobi killed Maul in 2 BBY, so there's no chance of him being in. Just so we can get that at one out of the way.
Okay, so
I was thinking maybe it was later.
Okay, this is something you also have to consider. The end of Rebels, that's when Ahsoka and Sabine take off. That is literally the year of Return of the Jedi. That's when Return of the Jedi, because they look over the planet, they see, that's when Sabine has shorter hair. She says how the Death Star was over, the Empire was done. Finally, Lothal, it was the planet Lothal. She was on Lothal, looking over from the tower that Ezra was at. So there's not that much of a gap. I'd say maybe it's just a few years in between when we last saw Ahsoka to now. So those are all like plot holes that need to be filled, and they will be filled, I believe, this season with a lot in terms of like flashbacks and stuff like that, and visions that were like, So that's just something we have to look out for. I do think Ahsoka and Bo had some sort of relationship, some sort of encounterment after Return of the Jedi before this episode right here, because that's the only reason Bo knows where she is. So that'll be interesting to see, and that's one thing we should look at.
Yeah, it's going to be. I would love to see how she knows that Ahsoka's there. Maybe they knock that out in a spinoff, like you said.
Yeah.
Maybe they just call it the Night Owls, or they can do so much. Obviously, fans love anything Mandalorian, which is why I'm really thinking that they're just going to keep doing Mandalorian stuff, and then eventually we're going to get the Mandalorian Wars way back when, so because they're gonna start bringing anything with Manda in the title, they're just going to start pushing it out,
and it's going to tie into a lot of things. It's going to tie into, and this is obviously like a really fun time for the both of us, because this is like both of our strong suits. We saw last night. Yesterday with this episode, how they're bringing the Clone Wars in, and how special it was for Clone Wars fans like myself, who really like Clone Wars is everything for me. And the fact that it's Mandalorian, the fact that there's the Mandalorian Wars, and everything, it's going to tie into a lot of things. At some point with the Old Republic as well. And we already saw the parallel in episode 1 with Cobb Vanth going to find the Krayt Dragon and all that. So I think it's only going to be like even more and more special. It's going to tie into other eras, and that's going to lead us into more and more content. So
exactly.
On that note, I'm perfect.
Yeah. The only other thing that I had was if Bo comes back into the show before, which I think he gets to Ahsoka maybe before Bo comes back. But Bo has all this history too. Like Ahsoka doesn't. We really at this point, Bo's good enough to give Din all the information he needs. She's dealt with Maul. She's dealt with Count Dooku. She knows who the Jedi are. She hates the Jedi, as much. She might be allies with them, but she has an ill past with the Jedi. She knows who Kenobi is. She's fought beside him. So I wish we would have gotten a little sit down, heart to heart with that type of conversation. Like, hey, I was in the Clone Wars. This is what I know. go to Ahsoka Tano, and maybe she can help you more than I can.
What if Mando has some sort of thing where he experiences a type of conflict because maybe he doesn't encounter Ahsoka and sees what a type of person Ahsoka is, or maybe even maybe doesn't approach Ahsoka yet, hears great things from Bo, but then you see Boba Fett, Boba's version of the Jedi compared to Bo's version of the Jedi are totally different things.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Maybe he goes through a conflict. And this is this thing I was talking about earlier, like this emotional conflict that you see within this character development. We might get a character development from Mando that he's forced to choose a side, he might have a conflict. Like I'm still leaving that open to grabs. Like I still think that's a possibility with, how Boba's trying to convince him maybe to get rid of the child or something like that. Maybe you look at the child, maybe so I don't know. There's just so much up in the air. I really hope we see Boba Fett again. I don't know how realistic that is. Maybe that was just like introduction for a spinoff. I do think he'll tie in at some point. I really do hope we see Bo-Katan again. Again, I think we will. I think she's going to play she's going to be a key asset in this dark saber action that we're supposed to get. And like I said, I really hope. I don't know how realistic it is, but I really do hope we see a lot of Ahsoka this season. But there is a chance that we might just see her at the end for the literally just the end clip, and that's it.
If we don't get more Boba, that will go down as the biggest Easter egg of all time.
I mean,
he's alive, but no more story for you.
Rebels left with an Easter egg.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
You saw only Ahsoka for a split second after not seeing her for 2 seasons. Everyone thought Ahsoka was dead.
When did Rebels end? Because now we're going to be getting the.
I think 2018 or 2017.
So we're going to be March 5th, 2018. So here we are, almost a little under 3 years later. We're finally going to be getting the cliffhanger dealt with. Maybe
3 years. 3 years
at the end of this season.
I know. And all we got until then was thinking that she was dead because of the voice in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. And actually, it might not even answer because to finish that one, you need to know where Ezra is as well. So a lot of things that would need to be taken care of.
This isn't going to be a young Ahsoka either. This is going to be a lot older of an Ahsoka, 50s.
Yeah. So
her Togruta horns might be longer. You have no idea with anything.
Yeah. What Order 66? Let's see. Rebels takes place. Yeah, it's right after Return of the Jedi. So that's what, 3 or 4.
No. Rebels takes place 5 years before A New Hope.
Well, the end. The white
cloak. It ends. The last episode, it fast forwards and just ends right Return of the Jedi, right when the Return of the Jedi occurs.
So we're going to be getting a couple year older white cloak Ahsoka around that, you think? Yeah, so she should be a full adult, maybe a little hard to get out of a chair, but should be good, man. She's definitely going to be able to fight still.
Yeah.
Yoda can do it at 900. She's good to go. And then I was reading, everyone keeps saying that she's kind of like her species lives longer because, Chewie's still a young lad in Rise of Skywalker. They live for 300 years. So he's only 70, 80. So he's still a young one. Yeah. So maybe they.
The child is, think about it. The child is around the same age as Ahsoka.
yeah. So
if you think about it in a sense, they're around the same age. So that'll be really interesting to see. I did want to say one thing.
Dude, you said that. What if she sees him and she's like, and because she's like, you're at the Jedi Temple. We never talked about you. Yoda always keeps you in the back room.
Oh my God, it could be so much stuff little stuff like that. That's why there's just so much up in the air. It's we've got to be careful because I don't want to just jump to assumptions. But God, dude, Ahsoka and the child would be around the same age, 50 years old. That's around the same age, around the same time.
If he was at the temple, she would be a Padawan. So why would they hide Padawans from other Padawans? I feel like she would know that he was there. You know what I mean? So
we have no idea. I did want to say one thing. Obviously we're coming to a close, but I did want to say one thing. For those tuning in, whether it's on the rebroadcast, Spotify, iTunes, or actually live here, we are going to be doing a giveaway next episode. We are going to be doing a giveaway for a Bo-Katan Funko Pop. This will be a fun time. So
That's
the
nice.
way we'll do it is we'll have our podcast next episode, and what we're leaning towards doing is those that are in the chat at the time of the podcast next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You just say the word giveaway, and we'll participate. Either the winner will be announced that episode or the episode after. So that will be a lot of fun.
That is a nice looking Funko Pop too.
And
then we're still figuring out what we can do for the finale of Mandalorian, but we'll come up with some things. And man, just exciting times, man. I'm looking forward to everything.
Peak Star Wars right now. This is peak Star Wars we're living in. So it's only up there.
Super Bowls every weekend. So, other than that, I don't got much. Kibbs Gaming, man, appreciate you, man. You're the OG today for sure. In here the entire time. We love you, man. Congrats on your affiliate stream today. I am now part of the Quibsinators. I subbed today, so congrats, man.
We'll actually do that as soon as we get off the stream because I was all over the place today. So I gotta make a executive right after this.
Whispers nervous that she doesn't get her founder's badge, so I don't know how many are left up for grabs. So
I gotta get mine.
Powerful crispy bacon, man. We appreciate you guys. Other than that, may the force be with you all, and we'll see you on our streams. Peace.